I'm really enjoying, like, the yarn feels yummy. It feels super, super good. So soft. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 103 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. It's a gorgeous sunny day outside. I've got all my windows open today so I can let all of the light in. I have my buddy toaster right here with me hanging out, and it's going to be a great episode. I've done quite a bit of knitting this week, I feel like. I mean, I wish I had done more. Don't you always wish you had done more? Hold on, there we go, that's better. Looking at my projects, I'm like, man, I thought I got a lot more done than this. But you know what? That's why it's good to look at your progress every week. I like using progress keepers or just like keeping track, whatever, photos. It really does help you feel like you really got more done than you did, or it like helps you see what you did get done. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Oh, I wanted to tell you about my shirt. I am wearing my Plan for the Day shirt from Magnolia Design Company. My plan for the day has already included coffee, a little bit of knitting as I worked. I don't know about the wine part. Maybe, actually, because we're going out of town tomorrow and I opened up a bottle and I don't want to waste too much of it. I mean, come on, I'm not going to like go crazy or anything, but I do have some Zoom knit nights tonight, so that might be fun. Okay. Let's dive in, right? So the past 3 weeks I've been so good. And like I had 3 weeks in a row, a 3-week streak of finished objects. That's like unheard of for me. And I'd like to keep the streak going, but I didn't actually finish any projects this week. However, I do have a half-finished object. So my half-finished object is a sock. I have been rocking on these socks this week. It totally helps if they're shorties. You can see that I was down here where this cookie was last week. And these are toe up. So I did the rest of the foot, the heel, and then I remembered that I'm making shorties with these. So that's really fun. You know what I forgot? I forgot my bowl of tags. So hang on one second, I'll be right back. Good stuff. I've got my tags now. So let's talk about this yarn. This yarn is from Big Sky Yarn Company, and the colorway is Music Row. I got this from I think I got it directly from Big Sky Yarn Company several years ago. I don't think she dyes this color anymore, but it's a reference to Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's like all of the fun, colorful lights, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful color. So half-finished object. I haven't woven in my ends, and I don't really do that on socks until I finish both. I'll weave in both ends at the same time, and then I will block them and everything. So I'm kind of waiting on this. But these socks are for my brother's girlfriend, Andrea, and I will be making these and sending them off to her when they're done. But let's go into whips because I've started the other sock. So like right away after I finished those off, I was like, let's just start the next toe so I have a plain vanilla sock going. And I've already done all of this. This is like a really, really good place for me to be on socks. It's only the 11th. I'm already like into the second of a pair. I know they're shorties, that helps. But my normal pace, my goal pace is to do half of a sock per week to get one sock done per month. And so I am well ahead, which is good because you'll see I have a new cast on here in just a second. But I've just started it and I need to place another marker. I have like the first Progress Keeper light bulb stitch marker where I finished the toe, and I've done 20 rounds since then, more than 20 rounds. So I need to go ahead and mark that. What I'll usually do is I'll take the like markers off the first sock. So I'm just going to take that off here right now, take them off, and then transfer it over to the second sock if I'm like out and about and I don't have both sets here. So I can just count 1 to 20, put that marker on there, and that's all set. But I'm going to do that later. I'm not going to bore you by doing that. So there we go. I'll just hook the second stitch marker onto the first for now. And why don't I go ahead and move this Progress Keeper over so we can see what progress we can make in the next week. Feeling pretty good about being able to get this pair of socks done for you before the next episode. There we go. So that I have been working on. I've got this in my Mickey Mouse bag from Molly Klein Design. I picked this out because I'm going to be going to Orlando. I'm not actually going to Disney World, but I'm going to Orlando. Oh, what am I doing? I gotta save this for the picture. I gotta save that for the picture, but I'm gonna be going to Orlando here very soon. And so I thought, why not have a Disney bag, you know? Why not? You don't have to be going to Disney to use a Disney bag. So there we go. All right, my next whip, I have been working on my Sorrel sweater quite a bit. I'm turning too much in the chair here. I've been working on my Sorrel sweater. It is slow going right now in the yoke, but I've made a decent amount of progress. I worked on it like several different nights while we were watching TV, while I was knitting with people, and I got like 2.5 to 3 inches, I think, done, right? There's my little cake marker. I love that thing. And I also have a rat stitch marker. He's tiny, so you can barely see him, but I did quite a bit. So I'm excited. I've started introducing the second color. It's getting faded in, and it looks so good. I'm really excited to see what it looks like all together. So I'm hoping that I'm making the right decision here. In the pattern, it said to fade into halfway through the yoke, and I'm halfway through the yoke, so I started fading. This is a really cool way to fade. Normally when I fade, I just like alternate, you know, color A, color B, color A, color B, but this method they have you do is more gradual. So it's like color like B, and then color A, color A, color B, color A, color A, and then you alternate them back and forth, and then you go the other way. You do more of color B than color A. This is a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to give away a lot, but that's a fade method that you could use in really anything. What else about this sweater? So I really wanted to get to the point on this where I could try it on. I could try it on now, but I really wanted to get to the sleeves and try it on and make sure everything is good before proceeding with the body. My concern right now is the neck. It looks pretty big. I know it's a wider neck, so it could be fine, but I mean, that is looking quite large. If it's too big, it's probably just because I didn't pick the right size for me, or my gauge is really off, something like that. It's not going to be the pattern or anything. I just need to know before I go any further and, you know, take up all that time knitting on something like this. But my goal, yeah, was to finish it before we went on our trip, and we're leaving tomorrow, so that's not happening. I think I have like 30 rounds or something to do before I can split for the sleeves. No worries, it's fine. I will work on it, and I'm going to bring an extra like cord or two with me so I can try it on later. If it doesn't fit, I'm probably going to rip it out and start a different project before coming back to this, but I do plan on like knitting this again. I'll just need a breather. See, I'm already planning on letting myself down here. If it doesn't fit, Natalie, it's okay. You can start another project first and then come back to it. That's just, you know, it helps me not stress as much. Okay, so let's talk about colors. This yarn is all from Yarn Over New York, which I got recently at a yarn store called Woolen. And the first color here is Loyal. I'm gonna have a lot of that left, so that's potential for like a fun pair of socks. I can put it in my scrappy project. And then the pink that I'm introducing right now, I'm a Barbie girl. And then the last color, there's 3 colors that I'm using for this one, is purple, and it is called Bubblegum Dance. So that won't happen until a little bit later, kind of like halfway down in the stomach. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. In my vlog this past week, I was measuring myself for the sweater, trying to figure out what size to make, any adjustments I needed to make. And I thought I might need to adjust for the armholes. I typically do, because my armholes, for some reason, like, I guess my bust size is pretty small, but I'm not like a small person. Like, I'm not little, I'm pretty tall, like I have larger hips, whatever. And so my bust size is deceiving. And when you go just based on bust size and pick a size, it doesn't mean everything is gonna fit the way that you want it to, but you can adjust. And so typically for me, I usually knit the next size up or more for the armhole depth and then the sleeves. So what that would look like on a top-down sweater is I would cast on for my bust size, like choose a size for my bust size, cast on, knit that. But then when it gets to the armholes, if it says my size, I need to make it, let's just say 6 inches, I would say, no, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to knit to like 7.5 inches, which is like 2 sizes up. And then when I go to pick up the sleeves, I'll just go to whatever size I knit to in length and make sure I pick up enough stitches for the sleeves. It's not as hard as it, like, conceptually, it's a little harder to understand than it is to execute, but it is possible to adjust things. I don't think I'm going to need to adjust on this one because I thought the armhole was going to be too small, but now I'm realizing the armhole is going to come off to like the side instead of being right here on the top of my shoulder. So I think that the size I picked should be totally fine. I will find out when I get to try it on. So I'm looking forward to trying that on, seeing how it fits, and just cross your fingers for me that it does. All right, last project, I have a new cast on. I started a new pair of socks this Sunday. I had planned to cast them on all along because I was eagerly awaiting the release of the pattern. And that's a good thing because my other socks are going to be finished here really soon. And this is a pattern sock. So I kind of like having, just a plain vanilla sock always on the go. And now I have a patterned one. I've got this in my Arkansas Yarn Co. bag. Everything here is Arkansas Yarn Co. It's a store that I visited in the fall of last year. And what's so fun about this is the yarn is also Arkansas Yarn Co. And then the person who designed this pattern is works for Arkansas Yarn Co., teaches classes. Yeah, it's like full circle. Okay, I've got a lot going on here because I've got the contrast balls split, and then I also have the regular balls of yarn split. So this was a sock set from Arkansas Yarn Co. She dyes yarn as well. And it doesn't have a color name because this color was specifically made for Maddie's class, Maddie Hobbs. She's the designer of this pattern, String of Hearts. It is such a cute pattern. It is a cabled sock. It's got like heart-shaped cables down the sides. If you're knitting this pattern, make sure that you do a right and a left sock so the cables can be on the outside, because I just noticed that. I feel like it was something that I would gloss over. I haven't started the cables yet, but what I have done is the ribbing on the first sock. Plus I did one round here. You can just barely tell that darker blue coming in. And now I'm going to start on the actual cable pattern. But before I did that, I figured I would start the second sock. Things really get knotted in there. What is happening? There we go. So I would start the second sock. I'm not quite done with the ribbing yet, but I'm getting very close. So once I finish that, I'll have both socks ready for the cables. My plan is to start the cables, like start one sock and then go ahead and start the other, so that I don't accidentally make two of the same sock, because there needs to be a right and a left, but I want to go ahead and get those going. Now, this yarn is an 80-20 base, 80% wool, 20% nylon. So I have to make sure that I adjust for that because it's a little bit of a thicker base. So the way that I've adjusted is I am using size 2 needles instead of size 1. I mean, you can't really tell from me showing you here, but these are thicker than my normal size needle. And then because I used a bigger needle, I'm actually using fewer stitches. So I normally do 60 and I'm doing 56 for this one. They're quite stretchy and big. I'll have to see if that ends up being too big for me, because I don't want it to be too big. I'll see what happens when I actually start in on the cables, because this yarn is not quite as thick as other 80-20s that I've used. It's all a gamble when you don't do like a gauge swatch, which I don't for a sock. I just start it to see. Most of the time I can like pretty much just do a 75-25 base and know exactly what I'm going to get. But every yarn base can be slightly different, and it just takes trial and error to see. So it doesn't really like bother me. I'd rather like try it out, see what happens, and then fix it from there instead of making a whole pair of socks that isn't going to fit. So we'll see. But I'm really enjoying, like, the yarn feels yummy. It feels super, super good. So soft, and yeah, I'm liking it so far. This is too many balls of yarn. I actually have, so I've got the main project bag, but then I have like a smaller one to go inside. So all of my, like this sock, because I've already finished the cuff, it goes inside here. And then all the balls go inside here. This one and this one. And then right now, because I know I'm going out of town, I went ahead and got myself set up with 2 progress keepers with their own set of light bulb stitch markers on them. Typically I use about 4. There we go. So I've got the progress keepers and their stitch markers. That goes inside the inner bag. So then I put the smaller bag of all the like extra stuff inside the larger bag, which means my project is less likely to get tangled around stuff. There's a hack for you. So there you go. The string is broken, so I need to fix that. All right. That is all of my whips. I do have plans to cast on something new before the next episode. I think that I want to get to the Sorrel, like split for the sleeves before I cast it on, because it's going to be another garment. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good project. I'm excited for it. Oh, I meant to say, on the String of Hearts socks, I'm planning to do cable without a cable needle, because the cables are pretty small. So I've got to look that up here later today and figure that out before I get on the airplane and I don't have internet. I'm going to figure out how to do that. All right, let's do some questions. So if you have questions for me and you want me to answer them here on the podcast, head to Ravelry, go to the Love and Stitches Ravelry group, the Ask Me thread, and put them in there. So the last week I caught up on all the questions, and now I have like 4 new questions, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and answer all of those and try to stay a little more caught up on the questions. That way you're not waiting forever for me to answer you back. And if you don't use Ravelry, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to help you out. And if you want me to, I can even answer it here on the podcast. All right, let's do the first question. It is from Splendor by Kylie. Good afternoon, Natalie. I'm currently obsessed with your podcast and constantly play it in the background while making my commissions. That's so fun. Thank you so much. I do have a question for you. I was wondering about the rules for free versus paid, or free/paid patterns for selling what you make from the pattern. I've looked for the answer, but there are mixed feelings. Obviously, if the pattern clearly states that you cannot sell what you make from it, I do not. There are some patterns where they say you can sell your finished product, of course, never the pattern, but there are ones that I really love that don't say anything. Can I sell my finished products from those patterns? Thanks, Kylie. Okay. That's a really good question. I'm sure we have a lot of other people on here who sell finished items for commission. So if you have any expertise on that area, don't hesitate to leave your answer down in the comments here. Go over to Ravelry, let Kylie know. But I'm going to answer it based on what I think. This is what I think. So you're totally right. When a person designs a pattern, you should not ever reproduce their pattern. This includes making a copy for a friend. Okay, because you have purchased, now if it's free, that would be the same thing as just going and downloading it, so that's fine. But if it's a paid for pattern, you should not even make a copy for a friend. Please don't do that. You're doing a disservice to designers, and each time you or somebody else uses the pattern, you should purchase a copy. So if you want your friend to have a copy, purchase a copy for them. Do right by designers. I'm a designer too, and we would really appreciate that. But the copyright for pattern design is on the pattern itself. So in my opinion, if it doesn't say, if the pattern designer says, please do not make anything from this and sell it, then of course respect that. But if it doesn't say anything, I feel like you should be free to make and sell things. But here's what I would definitely do. Make sure you give the pattern designer credit for designing the item itself. So the way that you could do that is, if you have a little card in front of your items when you're selling them, it could just say the name of the pattern, like Tool Kitchen Scrubby Designer Knitty Natty or something like that. Just have that there. Hold on. The air conditioning came on because I forgot to turn it off. It's quite loud, isn't it? Okay. You could just have that like as a card, or if you're selling items on Etsy, like at the bottom, just say like pattern designer, like pattern name, pattern designer, and just give them credit in there. And then the next step that you could do if you wanted to go even further is you could message the pattern designer. I've actually had a few people message me and ask if they could make something to sell. And I always appreciate that. Although here, I'll just say it now, you can make and sell any of my patterns. Like I don't have, like you can do whatever you want with them. Just please don't sell the pattern itself. But yeah, that doesn't bother me personally as a designer at all. But I know you said you've seen mixed feelings out there, but at the end of the day, like the copyright's on the pattern, not the item. That's my opinion, at least. So the only thing you might want to be careful is like licensed things, because then you can kind of get in trouble. Like Disney licensed stuff or team apparel and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm sure there's like all kinds of tangles of rules, but that's my opinion and some steps you can take to make sure that you're being respectful. It sounds like you already are very concerned about making sure you're respectful, so I love that. Next question is from Knitter1192. Hi Natalie, I wonder if you could tell me where you got that wonderful folded blocking board you use to block your slip extravaganza shawl. I have a couple of really large projects and that would be so easy to use. Thanks so much, Susan. Okay, so I have a really great blocking board that I've had for years. It is technically for sewing. Like it's a material where you could lay out fabric and iron it. It's gridded and everything. It's really great. I think it's called the Sew Easy board, EZ, but unfortunately they do not make it anymore. I think they stopped making it a few years ago because I looked it up not too long ago and could not, like I could find it, but it wasn't for sale. Like it was discontinued. So I'm so sorry. I don't think they make it anymore. And I haven't been able to find anything similar to it either. So if you find anything out there like Sew Easy board and a similar product, will you send it to me? Because I know there's lots of people who would like to have something similar. I like it because, like you said, Susan, it's really convenient. I can open it up, and then for anything that's a little bit larger, I can just use my foam puzzle pieces to make a continuation of the board. It's really, really nice. All right. Next question is from Emily SAO. Hi, Natalie. I just started to knit socks and I prefer to use 9-inch circular needles. But when I'm making a pair for my daughters who are 4 and 7, it needs to be a 44 or 40 stitch sock, so the circumference is too small. Also, I don't like doing the heel on 9-inch circulars. Yeah, who does? That has led me to using Magic Loop, which I prefer over DPNs because I use socks as a carry-around project. And finding a dropped US 1 DPN is awful. I feel like you're speaking from experience here. Ow. My question, I'm getting ladders and wonky looking stitches between the front and the back stitches where I've split to do Magic Loop. When I'm changing needles as I turn the work, do you have any tips? I gotta figure out that setting on my camera. It just cuts me right off. Okay, what she was asking, she said she was getting ladders and wonky stitches, and then her question was, do you have any tips for getting correct tension on the first stitch to prevent ladders or loose stitches? Thanks in advance for your advice, Emily. Okay, Emily, this is a common problem that a lot of people have, so don't worry, it's not just you. Ladders are definitely a thing. So ladders, if you're lucky enough to not get them, I'll tell you what ladders are. Ladders are, unwind, when you're working Magic Loop, this can happen on DPNs too, but I think it's more common in Magic Loop. Right here, where you split the stitches down like the side of your sock or whatever you're making, there will be a larger gap, and we call that a ladder. So there's a few different things you can do to prevent and help with ladders. The first thing is your needles. You want to make sure you have a nice flexible cord. This is the Chaigu red lace. It's my absolute favorite because if your cord is really stiff, it's actually going to work against you and kind of pull apart those stitches. So I would make sure you have like a comfortable needle that has a really good flexible cord before you try anything else. Because if you don't have a flexible cord, then these other things are probably not going to work for you. So make sure you have a nice needle. Things that you can buy at at a big box store, a lot of the times have a thicker and less flexible cord. Clover, for example, their cords are really not great to use. Knit Picks' cords, even though I love Knit Picks for my other stuff, I don't like for Magic Loop because it resists. It's not as flexible. It doesn't mean they're bad. They're just not really conducive to Magic Loop. Okay, so that's the number one thing. Second thing, this usually does it for most people. I hope that this will help you. You are going to work on your second stitch, not your first stitch, okay? So when you're doing Magic Loop, okay, I know I can't really turn around. I'm going to knit my first stitch. Most people want to pull tight after that first stitch and like pull. That's a waste of your time. Stop doing that. It's not going to help you at all. This is what it's going to do. It's going to tighten up the stitch that's on the cord, making it really hard for you to do the next round. And it's going to completely loosen up when you go to do your second stitch. Stop pulling on the first stitch, pull on the second stitch. So I've just done my first stitch. I don't worry about it one bit. I go into my second stitch, and that's when I do a nice little pull. Do you see how that moved things together a little bit? Pull on it, right? Give it a little tug, not too tight, be careful. Give it a little tug, complete your second stitch, and now that ladder gap is anchored. You've pulled it together and anchored it. Do it on the second stitch. So knit one, then pull, and knit your second stitch, okay? Actually, I would say knit one, go into your second stitch, then pull, okay? That really helps a lot. Now, if you try that, you switch your needles, make sure you have good flexible needles, and you try the second stitch thing, and you're still getting ladders, it could just be something in the way you knit, but don't worry, there's one more fix for this. I just learned this, actually. Somebody emailed me this tutorial. It's really cool. It's a bit of extra effort, but it totally works. So the thing that you can do, the last resort, I would say, I would try this other portion first, is you can actually change your ears. I like to call these ears from your Magic Loop. You can change where the ears are by 3 stitches every single round. Every half a round, actually. Okay, kind of a pain. I'll link the tutorial below so you can see the full thing. But essentially, you would I can't remember exactly how he does it. You would knit 3 onto your first needle and then just go like this, boop, and pull it all the way through, and then start your next round. I think he does it a different way. I'll link the tutorial for you, but essentially every time you approach the end of a needle, you adjust the round by 3 stitches. I better get mine back or else I'll forget. That way your loose stitch is more evenly distributed. It's going to spiral around and you won't have one straight line of a gap or anything. So that should really solve your problem if the other 2 things don't fix it for you. But again, this is very common, so give those things a try and don't stress too much about it. I mean, I always get a line kind of in mine, and it kind of goes away eventually. All right, last question here is from AGNGAN, because I don't know how to say that. Hi, first of all, I love your podcast. I have a question about fitting socks. I recently knitted my first pair of socks. It was toe up with a heel, flap, and gusset. The socks fit quite well, but they are a bit tight in the instep. I think that's what it's called. I marked the place on the picture below. You can clearly see some stretched stitches. What should I do with my next pair to get rid of this problem? I heard great things about the Fish Lips Kiss heel, but wouldn't it just make it worse? Okay, let me see if I can make this picture bigger for you. Hold on. Open image in a new tab. Okay, well that's weird, but it worked. Okay, there we go. Oh, it's very, very dark. Okay, just kidding. Maybe I'll take a screenshot and I will share it with you so you can see. But basically over the instep, you can see that the stitches are kind of more strained. Makes sense because for most of us, this is the largest part of our foot because it includes our heel and over like our arch, ankle, whatever. And it is the biggest part of our foot. You'll especially notice that if you've ever bound off a pair of socks in a regular method, not a stretchy bind off, and then tried to put your socks on and you couldn't get them on. Has that happened to you? It's happened to me. Okay, so I have a couple of guesses on what you can try next time for this. So my first thought was to potentially make a longer, more sloping instep. So I haven't done this toe up. I haven't done a heel flap and gusset toe up before, but basically it would be the same thing in reverse from a cuff down, right? So for a cuff down sock with a gusset, I would make like the rectangle at the back, I would make that longer to give you more room. I think that could help a little bit, but it also looks like you're getting more, let's say this is your ankle, you're getting more strain this way than you are this way. Actually, that's kind of why doing that taller gusset helps, because then when you pick up, you end up with more stitches. So yeah, I think that really would help to make it longer. Since I don't know the construction of a toe up gusset, I'm not really sure how you could achieve that. But maybe since you've made it before, you could somehow adjust so that you did more rounds and less frequent decreases so that the gusset is longer overall. Maybe. My other thought, I was trying to think how you could get more stitches into the instep. Again, this is like, for me, it's a lot easier to think of cuff down because I would just like start with more stitches and then decrease to a smaller number for the foot. So I guess you could like, on the opposite end, you could like stop doing the gusset decreases and have more stitches for that part of your ankle. Basically, I'm not 100% sure. You need more stitches somehow. You need more length, I think, for your gusset, but the construction of that is a little bit unclear for me. So we have a lot of people here watching. Maybe they can help us out and leave you some good advice here in the comments or go on to Ravelry. Your socks are beautiful though, so hopefully we can find something that will help you out and make those fit even better each time you make them. All right. That was all of the questions. Thank you so much for submitting them, and I will continue to try to keep up with them every single week. But again, you can always email me, so don't hesitate to do that. All right, news. I have a new vlog. It just came out today on the Brooklyn Yarn Crawl. This was a fun video to do. It's something I've not done before where I've gone like to multiple yarn shops. So basically the format of the video is we go to one of the yarn shops. I show like just clips of the different yarns and Kent's filming me looking at yarn, and then we come back and I'm sitting right here and I tell you about the store and what I purchased there. And then we go to the next yarn shop, and it was just a really fun video. I hope that you guys really like it because it was fun to make, and it was also just like I'm excited to show different yarn stores because I know there's a lot of people who don't live near a yarn store, or with restrictions, you're not able to go into the yarn store. Maybe you don't feel comfortable, and that's totally okay. So now you can get to visit the yarn store, 4 of them in 30 minutes. You can travel around Brooklyn with me and see yarn stores. So I hope you really enjoyed that video, and I'll have it linked for you as well. I have a winner to announce from the blog from last week. I finished a project, my scrappa, it's a brioche cowl with these 2 yarns, brioche cowl with these 2 yarns. They are from, what is her name? Now I'm forgetting. I've put the labels inside, Hooker's Corner. And because I used so little of it, and I don't really plan to use this yarn again, I just know myself better than that, and I won't. Like, it will sit in my stash and not get used. So I'd rather pass it on to you guys. 75 grams, just about. I think it was like 73 and 74 of each. So totally you can make a project. So I had people enter to win this yarn, and I randomly selected a winner. Whoa. I always do these randomly. It's not like I look through the comments and pick somebody that I want to win. Random always. So here's the winner. I'll put it on the screen as well. The winner of that yarn is CMB 4280. So when you see this, if you're the winner, send me an email, tell me that you're the winner of that yarn, and I will get that sent off in the mail to you. Thank you for everyone else who entered. It's always fun to do giveaways like that. I super enjoy it. I'm gonna have a giveaway next week, not this episode, but next week, because, well, I'm delaying it till next week because I have a lot of things to show you. I've been collecting some things for this giveaway, and I also received some yarn from different people. And so I want to get the chance to look at that and then like take the time to show it off to you and then decide what's going in the giveaway. And I'm going to be out of town, so I can't do that right now. So next week, we're going to do a live podcast because I will have been out of town and haven't had the chance to pre-record it. So I'll be getting back into town Wednesday. We'll just do a live podcast on Thursday. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll explain more about the time when I decide. When I decide that later, after I see what my Thursday is going to look like when I come back. So next week I'm going to be doing a giveaway because I just hit a super exciting milestone on YouTube. And I have you guys to thank. I just hit 10,000 subscribers. I am shocked. I can't believe it. I mean, it was coming up, so I started collecting things, but it was like all of a sudden, just overnight, I woke up Sunday morning and I was like, kid, I hit 10,000 subscribers, like overnight. I can't even believe it. And so I'm super excited about that. I mean, it's so cool to be able to share my knitting and my life with so many people. I mean, that will never stop becoming like just something that is amazing, like awe-inspiring to me. It's so cool and so much fun. I very much enjoy it. So thank you so much for 10,000, and I will do a giveaway next week. There will be some fun stuff in there. Life. All right, so the big thing right now is that we are leaving town tomorrow. I am not ready. I am overwhelmed. I am stressed. You know what? It's funny because when I sit down to record things, or when I'm teaching, like I had a lesson earlier today, or when I'm on a live thing, it's like time stands still. And the things about my regular everyday life, everyone has stresses, everyone has too much to do, whatever. It kind of like, it pauses for a minute. And I am just so able to be in the moment. And that's one thing that I love about this YouTube and just everything so much, is that it allows me to like put things aside, like mentally, like take off stress and sit for half an hour, 45 minutes and just enjoy like something that I love so much. So anyway, however I look right now, I am stressed and overwhelmed. Okay. Just so you don't think everything is like, oh, it's always so great and she's so organized. No. Untrue. It's crazy and chaos behind the camera. But anyway, I think you guys know that. It's reality, isn't it? But we're leaving tomorrow. Besides being like feeling stressed about it because I have so many things I want to get done before we leave, I already know that the things, my bigger goals to finish before we leave are not happening. Time has run out. And that's okay. It is what it is. But I am excited. Despite all that, I'm excited to go, and I'm planning my knitting, my projects that I'm going to bring, and my backup projects. You know, I'm going to bring way too much. And I'm excited because we're going to be going to Dallas for a little while. We're going to be helping my mother-in-law move from Dallas to Orlando, Florida. And so we're going to go to Dallas for a few days. Then we're going to be in the car for a couple days, and I am not driving. I mean, I might help, but I'm not like the main driver or anything. So I will get to do some knitting. I'm excited about that. And then we will be in Florida for just a couple of days. 36 hours or something. And then we're coming back here to New York. All in all, we're going to be gone just over a week for all of that process. And so it will be cool. It'll be kind of nice. I'm bringing work with me, obviously bringing knitting with me, but it will be a little bit more of a low key time. I haven't scheduled any like events or lessons during that time. So it should be really, really good. And then that's pretty much all of life that's happening right now because that's enough. That's enough. But bringing me joy this week, we have finally gotten some more things for our apartment, and we were just getting them in yesterday and today. We finally had our TVs hung on the wall. Such a big relief. We had a giant TV box taking up so much space in our living room, and now that is gone. And then our living room rug finally came in yesterday. So we had our couch, we had separate, like the sectional we had separated because we knew we were going to have to hook it in or separate the pieces and hook it in when we got the rug. And so we just never hooked it in. And then our coffee table was still in its box. So today, Kent and I finally cleared everything out of the way, cleaned the floor, put down the rug, put the couch together, and unwrapped our coffee table, and it's looking so much better. When we come back, we'll finally get we have a bunch of stuff we need to get rid of, whether we sell it or donate it, or just some things need to go in the trash. Like you've seen my new computer chair, my old one, I'm pretty sure it just needs to be set on the sidewalk. If somebody wants to come take it for free, they can, but it is old and dirty and has a lot of toaster hair in it. And, just get rid of all that stuff and finally get things hung on the wall. We'll have something back here, have a little more in the background. And yeah, just, it's important for me to feel settled, and that's really, really helping. So I'm excited about that. All right. I think that's everything. If you won, if you were the winner today, make sure to email me. Come back next week. We'll do a live and I'll have another giveaway. It'll be so much fun. And other than that, just have a wonderful week. Get lots of knitting done, and I'll see you next time.